through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The diagnosis, a pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Diagnosis, a pro analysis where we talk about the current situation in Sri Lanka with the professionals of the, several industries and many fields that are in here. So today we have an exceptional character with us today at the Diagnosis here at Relax Radio. Before we move on to those factors, I want to quickly remind you guys to follow us on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter as well. And make sure that you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to download the Relax Radio app so that way we can stay connected. You and me, we can stay connected anywhere, anytime, 24, 3, 6, 5. Now, that being said, as I said, we have an exceptional character with us today for the diagnosis, a pro analysis where we talk about the current situation in Sri Lanka, giving focus to the entrepreneurs, especially as today we have a Mr. Nilantha with us, a senior lecturer from the University of Kelaniya. Mr. Nilantha, hello, Mr. Nilantha.
Hello. Hello. Yes.
How have you been? How have you been?
Yes. Great. No, amidst all these issues, doing great.
So, Mr. Nilantha, I would like you to, give a brief introduction about you for the audience, for the listeners that we have right now.
Okay. Actually, I'm a senior lecturer at University of Kelaniya. So I'm working for the Department of Marketing Management there. And before that, over 10 years, I worked in the private sector uh, as a management trainee, and then as a marketing manager. Likewise, in different managerial levels, I worked. So after that, I joined as a lecturer. Now my current position uh, at University of California, I serve as a senior lecturer, and that is about me.
It's very impressive indeed, Mr. Nilante. So, we're going to start the show right now. So, I have like a set of questions prepared for you. Very interesting questions indeed. So, my first question for you is, for the years that you have been a senior lecturer in your field, what sort of experiences have you had? Some specific experiences that you've had.
Yes, I think I worked in the private sector. So before joining with university, I had plenty of experiences with so many organizations, different audiences, and after that I joined with the academia and started working as a lecturer. So then I could combine my working experience, practical experience with theoretical aspect. So there, I think I had some different perspectives than the traditional academia because of my experiences. Mm. So I looked into theories, concepts, and all those things in a different angle. That's because my previous experiences, and I started teaching in my own way, apart from the whatever the traditions. I started practicing my unique and own way, right? So that's it.
Okay, Mr. Nilantha, that's very impressive indeed. Now, I would like to introduce you as an entrepreneur. Is that okay?
Yes, actually I am lecturing the subject entrepreneurship, and prior to joining this university, I was experimenting. I was doing some experiments in businesses, and indeed, my research, my master's research also about entrepreneurship, and I was practically working with entrepreneurs, and so that is my core area. Currently, I am doing my PhD also. That is also focused on entrepreneurship. So my practical experience, because I was an entrepreneur prior joining with university. Then as academia, I worked with entrepreneurs. Currently, also I work with entrepreneurs, and I teach entrepreneurship. So that is my character.
Thank you, Mr. Nilantha. Now, as we all know, the country right now, it's in chaos. It's in chaos. We are facing an economical crisis right now. So I would like to know how that has actually affected your specific field, the economical crisis that we are facing right now.
Regarding my profession, there's impact because now, say for instance, I am doing my PhD in Malaysia. Now, for that also, there is a problem because how can I pay my semester fees? Because we don't have foreign currency, USD, US dollars. And on the other hand, once we look at the my subject, entrepreneurship, now the businesses are in the context of this whatever the so-called economy. So economy is the bigger world. In this big concepts economy, entrepreneurship is just lying as a one component. So obviously, the entrepreneurs as well as businesses are affected. So because now this economy, political situation, the whatever the other financial conditions are the big picture. So now all businesses are affected, right? So that we cannot avoid. So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. I do agree with you, Mr. Nilantha. It's not something that we cannot avoid. It's inevitable. And, with the current situation in the country right now, it's in chaos, as I've mentioned before. I mean, I think it affects every single field as well. It's not just to one field, but to every single field out there. Now, I would like to ask you another question, another rather interesting question. Now, it is also very visible that right now, even though the situation is a bit controlled, I would say, what are your perspectives on the whole political situation that's happening right now in the country?
yeah. Whole political situations. Now we can see there is a tug of war, right, between two major political parties. But the problem is now business people, they don't mind whatever the political party in power. What they want is positive conditions, supportive conditions, background for their businesses. But the current situation is not supportive. Once you look at the previous, uh, let's say, number of years, the situation, the environment is not positive, not supportive for businesses. So, irrespective of whatever the political party that was there, what business people need is some uh, green lights, or not red lights, for their businesses. Good financial conditions, good economic conditions, as well as supportive international markets. That is what they need. But that was not there. There are so many reasons, some major reasons also there. The reason is whatever the political party who came to the power, they were really struggling to maintain their power, right? All these political parties, their main focus was how to protect their party, right? So they never, then when your focus is somewhere else, right? So businesses are somewhere else. So that was the problem, right? So because when some party come to the power, the opposition continuously they were trying to collapse it. No, so that is the issue, right? This power culture, this competition, right? Finally, led all these whatever the businesses and all to uh, some negative, no, some bad uh, situation. That is the
Exactly,
problem.
exactly, Mr. Nilantha. I think I can agree with you very well. It doesn't really affect to one field, as I mentioned before, it affects to every single field out there. And I think the political situation right now in the country, it is so grave, and I don't think that we can come out of it right and now. It might take a couple of years, and I would hope that it will take a less number of years, but then we cannot, I don't think that we cannot give an exact number of days or years that is that the current situation, the current political government will come up with solutions for those problems that we have right now. So, Mr. Nilantha, now, in your opinion, is the current government, the political members that we have right now, who are ruling the country, are they qualified enough? In your personal opinion, are they qualified enough to run this country?
Right now, the ministers we had, as well as the current governing bodies also, to my to be frank with you, I think not qualified enough, right? Because once you look at their caliber, right, their history, they are not into business. uh, they are not into whatever the let's say financial management. uh, they have not worked in any organization, right? That is the problem, no? That is a major issue. Because if you are getting something to manage, you need to have some prior experience, right? Without prior experience, how do you manage things, right? But right, but they have now they have some views and experiences in different fields, right? So I think they can cope up with the current situation. But my personal opinion is they cannot take the country to whatever the better or best, whatever the let's say now some but it's deserved place, right? Because Sri Lanka is deserved some superior position in this world. Once you look at whatever the resources we have, talents we have, right? Country deserved a good place. So these people may not be able to push the country to the deserved place, but they will cope up with the situation, right? But exactly, they don't have whatever the experiences, right? That is my personal opinion, because you have to work in some company, right? You have to work amidst competition. You should understand what is competition, uh, how you can position some at least a product, no? If somebody do not know how to position a product, right, how can those people position a country, right? If they do not know the meaning of positioning, right, how can they position a country, right? So first you should know the meaning of positioning, branding, marketing, financial management. And you should know the difference between financial management and financial discipline, right? So they don't know what is financial discipline, right? So that is the solution, my direct answer, right?
I think, Mr. Nilant, I think I can agree with you because we are on the same boat. I think we think the same. I completely agree with you. But I also do believe that there are people out there, potential people out there in Sri Lanka who can go out there and rule this country, lead the way, be people's voice. But I don't think that they get the chance to go there to get to the parliament and make the necessary changes. I mean, there are potential people, as I said, out there who can really lead the country. It's either because they don't get the chance, the current political members, they don't give them a chance, or it's simply they don't want to go out there. What do you think about that, Mr. Nilantha?
Uh, exactly. That is the system. Now, as you exactly very correctly said, because our system has already set, right? So we cannot avoid the system. Right? System is set. So according to the system, we have to work. But uh, nobody thought of breaking the system. Now, once you look at current our government schools or universities, they have already established syllabuses. So no any students can learn anything out of those syllabuses. Likewise, this government also, our whatever the governance, governance is also already it is ready made, no? So nobody can come out and express their controversial ideas. That is the problem, right? Now, if there are, as you said, so many potential people out there, but there is no way. We didn't have such a mode or the opportunity. But now, I think whatever the issues we had these recently paved the way to it was actually open up things. Now I think some professionals, somebody people who are capable come out and they can contribute. But the history was a different one. We all know that, right? There wasn't any opportunity for the capable people to come out and perform, right? Now I see there is some opportunity, as you said, but we have to wait and see because politics is a different game.
Exactly, Mr. Nilantha. Politics is a game. Now, I think we have rather made it a game. I don't think it was a game back then. We've made it a game. The people who are leading right now, the political leaders right now, they have turned this into a game. Now, since we talked about education, Mr. Nilantha, I would like to ask you, what are the cons that you had as a student while studying in your specific field in Sri Lanka? What are the cons that you had to face?
Yes, as a student and as a teacher, I have both experiences, right? The cons is because the biggest problem is we have already set up standards, a syllabus, right? So when someone try, nobody can go out of that syllabus. That is the problem, right? So boundaries are already set, right? When boundaries are already set, how innovations occur? No way. You just look at, uh, let's say, some scientists, Isaac Newton or whatever, Leonardo da Vinci. So those people, they were really rejected from their schools, saying that they are not capable to cope up with education, right? So no innovations occur because already set, no.
Yeah.
So what is the question you get in your examinations? The question is uh, choose the correct answer out of given below four answers. That is
Exactly,
already
Mr.
set.
Lantha.
That is the problem. So as a lecturer, as a student, I face this issue. Then where is innovation? No way. That is the problem, right? So that is the major issue, right? If you let's say if you know any space to emerge free thinkers. No free thinkers. You are either somebody, no, you are either Buddhist or either no Muslim or somebody else. But where is free thinkers? No way. They don't have space in this arena. That is the problem. So let's say now, if student asks some question out of your syllabus, no, what happened? He was demotivated. No, he was demotivated. Even a lecturer, if he teach something out of the syllabus, no, what happened? No, then it's a problem, right? So that is the issue in this country, right? So all are programmed. No, that is a problem.
Exactly, Mr. Nilanta. Now, that being said, we have a caller with us right now. Hello? Hello? I don't think we can hear him properly. Hello?
Hello. You can hear me, right?
Yes, yes. How are you? What's your name and how are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Shehan.
Oh, Shehan. Hello. How are you, Shehan?
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good these days.
Yes,
It's
that's nice to
pretty
hear.
okay, cool. So I think I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the question is, uh, why did the government not take any measures to prevent this crisis? I think it could have been easily preventable if government had taken some measures early on, right? But why did they not take any measures to prevent it on the beginning of this whole problem?
Right. Thank you, Shehan. I think that's a very interesting question that you have asked. So, Mr. Nilanta, what do you think? How can you answer the question of Shehan?
Shahan, thank you for the question. Exactly. The direct answer is whatever the government, they are not taking any direct preventive measures. The reason is they are under influence of something, right? Whoever the government who came to power in this country, they came to power with some promises, and they came to power with some unknown or some agreements which are not visible to the public. Uh, they are under influence of something. So when the government is under influence of something, they cannot give direct solutions. Clear? It is like this. Now I am talking here, right? I am I am talking here without any influence, right? This digital radio doesn't have any link with me. I don't have any, let's say, personally, I don't have any connection. Uh, so I will express whatever I want. Clear? So black or white, whatever, I will tell it, right? Directly. But whoever the government came to power, right, they cannot do like that, right? So they have some promises which they cannot implement. They have some agreements. They have received some supports which cannot be revealed. Uh, they have some agreements. You can monitor those once you look at whatever these very recent things. No, when you observe, right? So that was there. Not about this. Whatever the recent things. But once you look at, once we, as a country, once we receive the freedom, there were such things. So nobody can work independently. You have to be dependent. You have to be dependent when you get some support from somebody. So that is the issue. Very clear, right? So that is the direct answer for that. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Nilanta. Now, Shehan, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Shehan, I hope you received the answer that you wanted from Mr. Nilanta.
Yes, yes, it was very enlightening. right? So yeah, I got the answer for my question.
Yes,
Thank you for having me today.
thank you for
Thank you, Shan.
joining.
Thank you.
Okay, now Mr. Nilanta, since we talked about history and politics, now indeed history is repeating. Now, when it comes to everything, history keeps on repeating. And that's what happens when it comes to everything. So, as you said before, history keeps on repeating. Now, we are experiencing what we experienced a couple of years back. Now, even though I was not there a couple of years back, through history, we do learn that the history keeps on repeating. Now, Mr. Nilanta, I think I should keep this question to ask you for at the very end of the program. So since we talked about education in Sri Lanka, and since we were talking about education in Sri Lanka now, if the Sri Lankan government, and as you said before, we are going through a system, we get it all systematically. No one is, no one has the freedom to think out of the box. That's what you said. And I do completely agree with that. Me as a student, myself as a student, I do agree with that. Now, if the government has done something very different to this, if the system is changed, will there be any changes, or how long will it take for the system to change? Now, since you're a senior lecturer at the University of California, I think you come through a lot of issues related to education, and you yourselves mentioned that this system needs to be changed. Now, if so, if this has to be changed, what kind of changes would you suggest? What kind of changes? I mean, if we had to change something in the system very, very rapidly, in the next couple of years, what kind of changes can we see? What kind of changes would be practical?
Yes. Once we look at as a whole, now we have to change education, uh, and we have to change energy and power sector, right? And we have to change the way we look at innovations, right? Because now, uh, let's take a business. Once a businessman start up a business, the general norm is it take 3 years to uh, perform, right? The first 3 years they just start a business and do initial things, and after 3 years, 3 or 4 years, they will perform. Likewise, we also have to wait, let's say 2 3 years to implement, or let's say to see those changes. Now, uh, once we look at the particular sectors, initially we have to look at education, because education has to be focused on innovation. As I said at the before, I said that our questions goes as choose the right answer out of below four answers. That is not the way, right? We have to give them, we have to give them some questions like you propose some solutions, and we have to change their mind, right? Students have to do experiments. Now in our language, no experiments now, right? So it says, there are 3 steps: hmm, experimenting, observation, and conclusion. Three things, 3 steps. So that is not there, right? We just follow things blindly, no? So that is not the way. So we have to change students' mind, no? So they have to come out with innovations in different fields. And then the most important area is power and energy, right? So we had a minister. We had a minister for power and energy. But what innovations have they done? They just, no, it's like buying and selling, no, right? So they have to look at what are the ways and means of generating power, right? You know that there are different sources of power. but we don't have any experiments to uncover those things. No. So if you had uncovered those things, now we don't have such a problem. So throughout all these years, what these people have done? Nothing. No, they have just managed. We have to understand the difference of the managing and innovation. Managing is you just continue things, right? You just continue, right? But what is innovation? Innovation is you disrupt things, right? You come out with new things. Something didn't exist, right? That is the problem. But those people we had, they don't know the difference, no? They don't know what is. They think managing is the best, no? I manage this the minister, no, ministry. Uh, so they think like that, but they never knew the meaning of innovation, right? So power and energy, no innovation, right? Then just look at the our transportation, no innovation, right? Look at all these other areas, particular sectors, no innovation. Let's say solar power, right? Solar power is a major source uh, in our country, but there isn't any program for that. Hmm? There isn't any set program for that. That is a problem. You look at all resources we have, right? Minerals, hmm, and other fruits, vegetables, but no any set program. That is the problem.
Yes, Mr. Nilanta, I think I can really, really agree with the points that you've said. That's so true. Now, with that being said, we've actually have to move on to a short commercial break. So stay tuned right in. This is your host, Mika Thompson, bringing you the diagnosis, a pro analysis where we talk about the current situation in Sri Lanka with the professionals, the mega minds of the country. So don't you dare go to anywhere. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The diagnosis. A pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio.
هكون معاكم أنا برناديت رافائيل.
Bernadette Raphael Show, only on Relax Radio. Let's start. Every Thursday,
Through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The diagnosis. A pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Relax Radio. I'm your host, Mika Thompson, bringing you the diagnosis, a pro analysis where we talk about the current situation in Sri Lanka, be it economical, political, financial, anything, whatever it is. We have the professionals of the country, of any field, each and every field, talking with us on Relax Radio. Now, today we have the senior lecturer, Mr. Nilantha, with us today. Now, we were talking about the education system of Sri Lanka and the current political crisis and the economical crisis that's happening right now in the country. Now, Mr. Nilantha, I would like to ask you another question. Since we've talked a lot about education, I would like to move on to entrepreneurship, which is actually like your basic field, the field that you've been in for a long time. Now, I know that there are people out there, a lot of youngsters out there, the youth out there, they want to become entrepreneurs, right? But they cannot really find the necessary qualifications, a good place to get the necessary qualifications, especially at this point, with the country being in chaos. Now, what would you suggest? And, imagine there's someone who wants to study more in this field right now, but they might be thinking that this is not the perfect timing for them to study about it. What would you suggest? What would you advise them to do?
Yeah. Now, those who want to do businesses, the best thing is to observe good business people, right? Already there are businesses which has really performed, and they have turned their businesses from small to larger. So if you observe those entrepreneurs career and character, you can learn. So that is the easiest way, right? And on the other hand, there are some let's say programs, diplomas, degrees, and all such programs where you can learn businesses. But best thing is, while you learn, also you have to observe how those people uh, develop, grow their businesses. Now, the one important key point is a lot of people get into businesses, and they think we have to be uh, millionaires very soon. But as I said earlier, there is a rule, because if you start your business with nothing in the sense, some, let's say, you are financially as well as your resources level is lower, at least you have to work hard 3 4 years, right? But let's say you start your business with um, some certain level of resources, business contacts, and good sound financial background, you can just grow your business very quickly, right? But you have to wait and see. uh, so let's say first 3 years is not to perform, just to get into the business. If you can tolerate, this tolerance is the problem. The youth, they don't have the tolerance. They cannot tolerate things. They always expect rapid, quick results. But according to my researches, I found the majority of businesses who are performing today, the first 3 years, they were not performing. And after that, they start performing, right? So likewise, you just talk to business people, right? My advice is, our life is a journey where we can learn. No, you meet people, you talk to them. Uh, I meet business people. I always talk to them. I observe. I monitor them. No, so even I got this tip from very successful business people. They say they get, let's say they get into a shop, just to have plenty, and they monitor how that what about what type of customers are coming over there. So they monitor, right? So that is my advice, right? And you have to be you have to think, no, don't get into these boxed type thinking. Don't get into these programmed thinking. Uh, don't think that I want to become engineer, doctor. Likewise, that's a good, very good, no, that is not bad, very good. But we need at least 30% of people get into the businesses. That is a requirement. Unless whatever the government, whatever the economic policies, we cannot develop a country. No, at least no 20-30% of people need to get into the businesses. Huh? So then only we can develop the country. But I am pretty sure nobody, no students, they have never heard such thinking. No, they just pursuing some professional career. No, their dream is a white collar job. That is a problem, right, in our country. But once you look at developed countries, those people start up businesses, right? They always, even children, no, at very initial stage, these childs talk about businesses, dream about businesses, but that was not there in our curriculum. Mm. Our curriculum focused on developing a professional, uh, molded professional, right? So it doesn't teach about entrepreneurship, businesses. So we mold professionals. That is the problem. So we have to change our mold. Uh,
That's right, Mr. Nilanta. I think it's once again the problem is with the system. We are systematically, going through this. As you said before, we are in this mold, and many are afraid. I think many find it very intimidating to get out of that box, get out of the mold. Now, since we talked a lot about education and everything, I have a rather interesting question to ask from you, Mr. Nilanta. This is actually regarding politics, but I think it would be interesting. So, my question for you, Mr. Nilanta, is would you ever consider becoming a politician?
no, right?
That's a straight
Direct
no.
answer is
Straight
no.
no.
Straight answer is no. Because the term politico is already ruined. Uh, I mean, not in these recent whatever the issues, because continuously, gradually, from the very recent past, it was ruined. Right now, that is the problem. No any professionals or who can think properly. Right, they never get into politics. Now you can see recently there are some educated people get into the politics, right? To the this whatever the government. What happened to them? Right? They just tarnished their names. uh, they lost their whatever their assets, right? Why? The reason is this: the term politics is already ruined. It is attached with so many, let's say, some polluted areas, right?
Exactly.
So nobody want, if nobody in the sense, a person who can think clearly about his life, future, family, never comes, right? Somebody make the people who confused, no clear idea about their family and the career, they have come, right? Now you saw we all saw the result, no? What happened to them,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly, Mr.
It was a
Nilanta.
disaster. But to answer your question, right? But if the same thing come in a different context, hmm, I mean, not like these politicians. If that comes a independent body or some sort of independent consultation, so that independence is need to be there, right? Free thinking need to be there. You are not coming under so-called political party, right? You're not come under blue, red, or whatever, green, right? Then there may be people, right, including me, right? Why? Because then there is no such negative effect, right? So you need to change, as I said uh, earlier, the syllabus, right? You have to change the context. you have to change the term, right? You have to assign different meanings, then professionals will come, right? That is my answer, right? You have to change things. So if it is whatever existing term, nobody will come who can perform, right? Why? Because now they see what will happen, no? After some years. Those who could not see it, they jumped into it and they damaged, no? They faced all these repercussions. Now you can see that, no? So uh, that is my answer.
So unfortunately, that means that we won't see Mr. Nilanta as a politician in the future, right? We won't say, like, I think I do believe now you as a very educated person, someone who thinks out of the box, someone who is responsible for creating, for building the future generations of Sri Lanka. I think that you have a responsibility. This is once again my opinion. I think there's a responsibility for you, Mr. Nilantha. Now, necessarily, you don't have to become a politician to perform your responsibility to do it all. But then when you become a politician or a leading body, a leading personnel of the country, I think it creates an effect. You have a more power to change whatever it is. Now, as you said before, you wanted to change the system. Now, you are in the system, you are in the education system, you've been in the field for so long, and you know how the system is going, and you know that it's wrong. The current education system we have right now in Sri Lanka, you know that it's wrong. Now, you want to change it. Now, don't you think that if you become a politician, or if you get into one of those leading bodies, a leading individual, that you will have a more power vested upon you to do the necessary changes?
Yes, that's correct. I also was thinking the same question, uh,
Or you were thinking that?
continuously, exactly thinking. But what I found was anybody to perform, right? You need to have a ground, right? Let's say if you need to play carom, uh, so there are some rules, set rules. If you are to play cricket, there are some preset rules for that game. Likewise, in this political and economic, whatever the arena, the rules has to be positive for professionals to play, right? Let's say if whatever the so-called cricket rules are not going with me, I will not get into crickets, no? Likewise, if those so-called political whatever governance rules are not supportive, we will not get into the game, right? So I think that was the issue. But let's say now we can see with all these disastrous conditions, now situation has changed, right? Now, say, to tell you frankly, I have never talked about these political things publicly. Uh, so, no any channel has interviewed me previously. So, previously, all channels, interviewed existed previous politicos, right? But now the context has changed. People, their perspectives have changed. They have looked into some different people, their opinions, right? So you have to get into some field, or get into some let's say whatever the context, where the context appreciate you, right? But we didn't have such a context earlier. The professionals' opinions were not appreciated, right, earlier. Now it seems, but not sure, it seems now the context has changed. Professionals' ideas are welcomed, appreciated, right? then not just me, right? So many people may get into this, right? Why? The reason is those people don't have some interior ideas. They don't have any hidden agendas, right? Clear? Because we don't need anything to gain from this game, no? Because whoever the people existing now, they have some hidden agendas. What they need is power. What they need is money, wealth, no? But whoever has some free thinking, already they have some different perspectives. They don't need power. They don't need money, right? Because they look at their whatever they have some different philosophies about their life. No, they don't need power because already they have power. Clear? Already they have power. Hmm. But once you look at these people who are in current politics, they didn't have power, so they like it, right? But now people though already has power, they don't like power because they have it, right? Clear? So that is it, right? So now I think it is everything is changing. There is opportunity. People may come, right? So that is my idea.
So that means, Mr. Nilanta, we can have some slight hope that maybe in the future you will get into politics. Maybe not politics, or to a leading body to do some changes here in Sri Lanka for the future generations of Sri Lanka. We will have that hope, Mr. Nilanta, because I personally do believe that you have the necessary capability to change the following system, the system that we have right now in Sri Lanka. Now, that being said, coming back to the country, the mismanagement of the country. Now, do you think that the achievements that you have had, was hindered by any chance due to the mismanagement of the country?
You mean what achievement?
The achievements that you have faced, the achievements that you've achieved, everything, was they hindered by any chance due to the mismanagement of the country?
Okay, right. Now, yes, very clearly it was hindered. Why? Because now, suppose I did my education properly and a person is doing his job and they are getting a good income, salary. uh, And let's say now he has a car, right? And a simple person, let's say coming from some rural area, bought a car. Hmm? But once you bought a car, you need to have a road to drive it safely. Hmm? Now, that is what we didn't have here, right? Now, if you go to some foreign country, all these facilities are there. Hmm? Uh, Roads and other systems are there, right? So, what is lacking is we don't have systems in the country. So, if systems are lacking out there, even though you have achieved everything, how can you enjoy it to the best? You cannot, right? Because now you have everything, but let's say to drive your car, you have to have a good road, uh, good system. uh. I don't want to drive my car, no. I like to uh, use public transportation. But can we use public transportation? So that is not there. That is the problem. No. So then what happened? Right. So it is about quality of our lifestyle. No. So whatever personally you have achieved, you cannot achieve. you cannot enjoy. Why? The reason is, now you have to have a system, environment, no? So you cannot enjoy your lifestyle if those systems are not properly set. So government is responsible for that, right? Government has to arrange and manage and develop all infrastructure facilities, but infrastructure facilities are not properly developed here. So then how can people enjoy, how can people experience whatever the quality of their lifestyles, no? Living standards? So the problem is living standards are lower here, living standards are very high in some other developed countries. So when you go there, since the living standards are high, you can enjoy. But even though you have personally achieved things, you cannot enjoy here. So that is why we can see people are leaving the country, right? That is the reason.
Exactly, Mr. Nilanta. I do think that I can agree with that, with whatever you've said. It's not a problem that's faced by just a couple of people in Sri Lanka. It's faced by every single person, from everyone through all walks of a life. Now, that being said, we've actually come to the end of the program today, Mr. Nilanta, the diagnosis, where we talk about the current situation, the political crises, the economical crises, about everything that affect you and me. Now, before winding things up, Mr. Nilant, I would like to get back to you, and if you have any advices for the younger generations, specifically for the entrepreneurs of the youth, what kind of advice would you give to them?
My direct advice is, you have to become, everyone, if possible, right? If you can understand what I say, you have to become free thinkers. Who Free thinkers in the sense, irrespective of religions, castes, and whatever the things, you have to understand things properly. Don't look at things through your lenses. Uh, Religion is a very disastrous thing, and your political party is a disastrous thing, right? Uh, so you have to become free thinkers, right? Just look at what you have to practice is cause and effect. Just look at, if I do this, what will be the result, right? This morning I met one very successful businessman. The same question I asked from him. He said, if any businessman to become successful, if any businessman to become successful, he need to he need to practice, he need to abide with his plans. Uh, if you plan something, you have to do it, right? You have to abide by plans. Uh, if you do plan something, stick to it. Just stick to it. That was his advice. So that is what I also think, right? So likewise, open your eyes, right? Don't be biased towards anything, right? Don't be biased. Those things, right? Political parties, religions, mainly, you can see very disastrous. Uh, just look at developed countries. They have religions, but minimal effect, right? They have political parties, but very minimal effects. People choose things freely, right? So that is my advice. Become a free thinker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nilanta. Now, as you said, I think if we stick to the plan, if Sri Lankan parliament, if the political members, they too stick to the plan, we can actually have a better generation, a better future for the generations that are yet to come. Now, I would like to make this an opportunity to thank you, Mr. Nilanta. I personally gathered a lot of information and educated
Thank you.
myself on areas that I didn't know a thing of. So thank you very much, Mr. Nilante, for taking your valuable, precious time to join with us today on Relax Radio. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nilante. Now, with that being said, guys, we've actually reached to the end of our program, but that's okay. So stay tuned in to Relax Radio. Now, before winding things up, I want to quickly remind you guys to follow us on all our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and every social media platform. We're on Facebook and YouTube as well. So make sure that you go and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. So that way you won't miss a thing. We have loads of things in store for you guys. And don't forget to download the Relax Radio app. It's available on both iOS and Android devices. So go on and download the Relax Radio app right and now. This is your host, Mika Thompson, signing off for the day, bringing you the pro analysis of this generation, the diagnosis, next Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. See you.
Through the eyes of the megaminds of our time. The Diagnosis. A pro analysis. Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Relax Radio.